Let me tell you a story. This story begins at the time when I had my PhD and I was working in Australia for 1 year. My kids were very small. In fact, my daughter is born in Australia and they didn't really experience much of Australia because they were that small. But when we came back, we had books, we had songs, we had memories, and we would talk a lot about the time in Australia. So after some years, my daughter came and said she wanted to go to Australia. She wanted to visit the place she was born. Our family was very positive to this. And we said that this is a nice thing to do, but we were 5 persons and going to Australia was a major cost and we couldn't afford this at this time. My daughter persisted and after some time we gave in and we said, okay, we will try to make it work. We want to raise enough money to make this work. But it's because we knew that this would be a considerable amount of money, so we thought that would be a long time it will take, and we had the idea we cannot just work for this trip to Australia because that would change our whole life and then we wouldn't have a normal life any longer. So we wanted to raise the money as extra money besides the normal life. And then it would be clear that it would take a long time and it's very difficult to make it clear to children a longer period of time. So we wanted to have a possibility to visualize the goal and the status that we worked against. And we came to the idea that we would use a pyramid. So that we had a pyramid, because a pyramid is something that is composed of small things that build something big. And that's also something that we wanted to do. We wanted to build a large amount of money out of kind of small parts that we would add maybe each month. And the stones in the pyramid had to be something that kids could understand. So we came to the order that we said for our kids it would be reasonable to understand about $20. That is something that they could understand. Then we calculated and it turned out the pyramid had to be really large. It had to be a baseline of 33 and then to the top even more. So that's kind of really a big pyramid, and we created this pyramid on a sheet of paper and then we collected stones for the pyramid. We started at Christmas because it was a good thing. We could already give some stones for the pyramid as Christmas gifts so that we wouldn't start with an empty pyramid. So we had something already at the bottom. And then we started collecting. We would have 1 stone each month and extras when they came around. Our friends and family, they also learned about this idea and they would support us. They would also come with stones that we could put in there. Our children would get stones for the pyramid for their birthday, so that gradually the pyramid would grow in size. In fact, it was still a very, very long process. And the worst were the first 3 lines, because they're very long. And it took us several years to fill the first 3 lines and to have the stones in these lines. It was better after that because then we would get some interest and the lines were shorter, so we had a better speed later on for the pyramid. All in all, it took us 9 years to fill the pyramid, and it took us 1 more year to plan the trip. And by that time, of course, our children were almost adults, so they were grown-ups. And they liked the trip very much because they also could experience the trip much better. We had a 6-week trip to Australia and we went to all the places we had visited before. We showed our children what they had seen before, and also how they lived there, and we had nice events during this whole time. We remember back to this very kindly now. It has been a very nice time, and we still like the idea that we have built the pyramid and found our trip to Australia by the pyramid. So that was a story that tells you what pyramids have to do with Australia.